Today we're talking about ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are very important because we have to start recognizing that the environment provides us with all of the resources that we need to survive. And without a healthy environment, we will start to see a decline in resources, which will then relate to a decline in the economy and the decline in a healthy human society. So ecosystem services are something that environmentalists are really trying to push governments to recognize and utilize those in planning for the future. So ecosystem services are defined as goods that come from natural resources or services and functions that ecosystems carry out that give us or have a measurable economic and financial value to humans. So there's 4 that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about them in depth, and we're going to talk about how humans impact them. First is provisioning. Those are goods that you get directly from ecosystems, or they're naturally coming from a natural resource. So things like wood, paper, food, those are things that we take from the environment. The next one is regulating. Regulating services help to do just that, regulate the climate or air quality, reduce damage from storms and flooding, reduce healthcare costs because it helps to keep the environment clean and help humans stay healthy. The next one is supporting. Supporting are processes that occur in nature that if humans tried to recreate, it would be very, very expensive. For example, carbon sequestration, meaning taking CO2 out of the atmosphere. Plants do that for us for free. And if we tried to build factories or areas to have carbon sequestration, it would be very, very expensive. You can think about bees pollinating crops too. That's something else that if we had to hand pollinate crops, it would take a really long time. It would be very expensive. The last one is cultural. Cultural is money or finances or economic gain that's generated by recreation or use of natural systems or ecosystems. So think tourism, parks, camping, or utilizing that natural resource for any sort of scientific knowledge or medical gain. Humans naturally disrupt ecosystem services because we take from the ecosystem, which impacts its ability to function normally and decreases the value of the ecosystem services that they provide. This has ecological effects, which we see, and economic effects, which we don't always see right away, which is the problem. We don't generally take action until we start seeing the economic effects on our population. So some examples: if you clear land for agriculture and cities, you're removing trees that store carbon dioxide, which means more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which means more climate change, which is going to lead to more storm damage. It's one of those positive feedback loops that we talked about. Overfishing is going to lead to a population decline and possibly a collapse, which means then you're going to have an impact on fishing jobs and then fish sales, and then populations are going to be impacted by the loss of that resource. So let's talk about provisioning services. Provisioning services are those goods and products that we provide directly to humans. We sell, we take things out. Examples would be hunting, fishing, lumber, or goods or products that are made from natural resources, things like paper, medicine, rubber, palm oil, olive oil, vegetable oil. Those came about through utilizing natural resources, and then we turned it into an agricultural business. We disrupt this system this service by overharvesting through pollution of water, pollution of soil, and clearing of land for agriculture. So you're reducing the ecosystem's ability to provide that service. Regulating services, those benefit us because they are natural ecosystem processes that help to moderate natural conditions like climate and air quality, water quality, and soil quality. So, for example, trees in a forest store CO2 through photosynthesis, which also regulates the rate of climate change and lessens damage caused by rising sea level. It also reduces crop failure from drought because plants also participate in the water cycle through photosynthesis. By removing those trees, you are also then removing the ability for those trees to do all of those different things for us. Trees also can filter air and remove pollutants from soil and the air. So it also helps to clean and clear the air for us. Like I said, by removing plants, you are impacting the ecosystem's ability to do that. Supporting services. In supporting services, those are processes that natural ecosystems do for us at no cost. It makes our lives easier, and if we tried to replicate it, it would be very expensive. For example, wetlands, those plant roots are there to absorb a lot of water. They filter pollutants. It purifies the water in an ecosystem, and it reduces the amount that we have to treat water in water treatment plants. We talked about bees and other insects pollinating our crops. Increased pollination means increased crop production. So without these things, we'd have to recreate all of this. And we did talk about wetlands also being able to absorb a lot of water, so then you're reducing storm damage, flooding, and property damage. By impacting pollinator habitats, by filling in wetlands for development, by reducing the amount of wetland plants that are available, those are going to disrupt those supporting services. And the last one's cultural services, which is probably the one that you see most direct economic impact. So by damaging ecosystems, we tend to decrease the likelihood that tourists are going to go pay to enter parks and spend time there, and not just in the park, but in those local areas. Think about the tourism that Hawaii brings in because of those natural ecosystems that people want to go see, or Yellowstone National Park. You are paying to go see those natural ecosystems, and when they decline in their health, that makes it less likely for people to do that. And then you have things like paying for a fishing license, paying for a hunting license. And then scientists also utilize ecosystems to learn more about plants and the compounds that they provide, which can then be turned into medicines or chemicals that we can utilize in other ways. By deforestation, pollution, and urbanization, we're disrupting the ability for that to occur. So humans are directly impacting all of these services that are free for us. And by doing that, you're decreasing our likelihood to be able to survive long term. All right, so your practice free response, and if you have questions or you'd like me to go over any of these during class, please make sure you ask. You're driving the discussion in class. So describe an ecosystem service that intact forests provide for humans, and identify one human activity that could degrade this ecosystem service and how the activity decreases the value of the ecosystem service. So that's a tough one. So you have to pick a specific service that forests provide, and then how we disrupt that. So take a second when you're answering that in your notebook. Words of wisdom for today are: every class is drama class when you're in high school. Try to stay out of it.